Good evening, Little Masters, and welcome to episode 219 of the Prancing Pony podcast, where now the ragtag is tired and would like to stop dangling and lie down.
So you heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad. We have an episode to record.
Thanks, Sean.
But folks, go ahead and pull up a bench in the common room. I'm Sean Marchese, the real-life Lord of the Mark, and I'm here with the man of the West, who was a most unquenchable hobbit, Alan Sisto.
Indeed. Well, nothing or a double helping is your way, Sean.
It's what I'm known for.
Folks, today we're going to be talking about the first half of the Palantir. Now, that's chapter 11, the very last chapter in book 3 of The Lord of the Rings. This is where Pippin truly earns the title Fool-of-a-Took.
You're not kidding about that. Well, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. Here at the Prancing Pony podcast, we are working our way through J.R.R. Tolkien's Legendarium a few pages at a time.
We study the details, make connections to other writings, talk about our favorite themes.
And we have a lot of fun along the way, so we're really glad you've joined us.
And we hope you'll be glad you joined as well. But before we get back to the text, it's time for fan favorite intro segment, Philology Fair.
Every single time it gets me going.
That's right.
All right. Well, in today's episode, we get our first close look at Saruman's magic 8-ball, now being held for evidence in an aggravated assault case against Wormtongue. Now, it's not actually named by the characters in the text until next episode, but come on, we all know what it is. So this is a perfect time to investigate the name Palantir.
It's in the chapter title. Tolkien sort of
It is in the
away.
chapter title, so we're not spoiling anything, folks, even if it's your first time reading. Now, Gandalf translates the name Palantir for Pippin in the second half of this chapter, and he translates it as that which looks far away. Now, in the index to The Lord of the Rings, Palantir, or plural palantiri, which tells us it's Quenya, because Quenya plurals are usually formed by adding a letter to the end of the word, but I don't have time to digress on that. It's glossed as far-seer, which is pretty much the same thing as what Gandalf says. We also get a breakdown of the name in the appendix to the Silmarillion. It's broken down as Palan, far and wide, plus Tir, watch, or watch over. And in letter number 347, which is a 1972 letter to Richard Jeffrey, and it is full of word nerdery, so go check that out. If you like this segment, go check out that letter. Tolkien explains that the specific form of the word Palantir comes from palantira, with continuative stem of tir, watch, gaze at, etc.
Continuative stem. Could you give that in English, please, Sean?
I can certainly try. The continuative stem is the verb form that expresses continuing or ongoing action.
Okay.
So if tir means watch or gaze at, then the continuative form of that means to be watching or to keep watching.
Oh, okay. Sort of like in the sense of always watching, Wazowski. Always watching.
That's right. And you know what? Roz's job would be a lot easier if she had a Palantir.
Oh, wouldn't it?
But,
yeah.
It would. Getting back to the segment.
I'm picturing her with a Palantir.
Wouldn't that be,
that's terrifying.
Somebody please make a meme of that. I want Roz from Monsters, Inc. with a Palantir.
That would be awesome.
That would be so amazing.
Yeah. Always watching. Yeah, there's the meme. It's built itself right there. Somebody just has to do the graphics for it. Yeah.
Yeah, please, somebody. Make us proud. So in the etymologies, which is in The Lost Road, that's History of Middle-earth, Volume 5, the etymologies gives more detail on the two roots that make up this word, and that helps us see some of the other words it's related to. Okay. So the first root, pal, is a root meaning wide open. It appears in Quenya pala, meaning wide or expansive, palu, palia, open wide, spread, expand, extend, Noldorin, which later became Sindarin, pelio, spread, Quenya palme, surface, Noldorin palath, surface. Here's an interesting one. Quenya palure, surface or bosom of earth.
Okay.
Which is the equivalent of Old English fold and is the origin of Palurian, the surname of Yavanna.
That's right. Now, Palurian was a surname of Yavanna that was used a lot more frequently in the early Legendarium, like the Book of Lost Tales. We don't see it in the Silmarillion.
That's true. Yeah, it's not in the Silmarillion at all, but it was used pretty frequently in those early texts. Moving on to the next root, Tir. This one means watch or guard. Quenya Tirin, I watch. Noldorin or Sindarin, Tiri or Tirio. Quenya Tirion, watchtower or tower.
Of course.
Noldorin, also Sindarin, Tirith, watch or guard. And Tolkien gives the example of Minas Tirith.
Right.
And several more things that, again, we will be here all night.
I'm sure we would.
Now, notes from Christopher Tolkien in the etymologies tell us that the word Palantir was actually added to both of these entries later on. I didn't quote them here just because I wanted to surprise you with that now.
Oh, okay.
But it is consistent with what we saw last time, that Tolkien hadn't come up with the Palantir themselves until relatively late. Actually, when he was writing this part of Lord of the Rings is when he came up with these objects.
Mm-hmm.
And from these entries, we can see that the word Palantir is related to a few other well-known words in the corpus of Elvish.
The corpus of Elvish. Why do I feel like that's really too close to the corpse of Elvis?
There is no corpse of Elvis.
That's
Alan.
the thing, right? I mean, the conspiracy would tell us that, he's out there eating
not.
peanut butter and banana
sandwiches, which are fantastic, by the way. But I digress.
Better than Bovril and banana.
Yeah, they are. Quite.
What wouldn't be? Low bar.
I love Bovril, but not with banana.
No.
So, anywho, basically Tolkien invented the Palantir, and he just pulled from these existing roots to come up with a name for them. Kind of what he did.
Yeah.
And he actually used the word Palantir in exactly that form in the name of Tar Palantir.
That's right.
The 24th king of Númenor, who was originally known as Inzil-Adun, but he repented of the deeds of the kings and took his royal name in Quenya as one of the faithful.
That's right.
And if you remember, he was the father of Miriel, who was eventually married against her will by Ar-Pharazôn.
And just like the Seeing Stones themselves, that name, Tar Palantir, is translated as he who looks afar. And the Akadabeth tells us why that name was quite fitting. I'm going to read a paragraph from that. But when Inzil-Adun acceded to the scepter, he took again a title in the elven tongue as of old, calling himself Tar Palantir, for he was far-sighted both in eye and in mind, and even those that hated him feared his words as those of a true seer. He gave peace for a while to the faithful, and he went once more at due seasons to the hollow of Eru upon the Meneltarma, which Argimilzor had forsaken. The white tree he tended again with honor, and he prophesied, saying that when the tree perished, then also would the line of the kings come to its end. But his repentance was too late to appease the anger of the Valar with the insolence of his fathers, of which the greater part of his people did not repent. And Gimli-Khad was strong and ungentle, and he took the leadership of those that had been called the king's men, and opposed the will of his brother as openly as he dared, and yet more in secret. Thus the days of Tar Palantir became darkened with grief, and he would spend much of his time in the west, and there ascended often the ancient tower of King Menastir upon the hill of Oromet, nigh to Andunier, whence he gazed westward in yearning, hoping to see, maybe, some sail upon the sea. But no ship came ever again from the west to Númenor, and Avalone was veiled in cloud.
Wow.
Oh,
not only is that
heart.
Incredibly sad,
Isn't it? Yeah.
but you see just how appropriate that name is.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Far-sighted, both in eye and in mind.
Mm-hmm.
He was a true seer, or at least people thought he was.
Yeah, yeah.
He would spend much of his time in the west, just looking out to the west, just hoping to see what he could.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about this guy was all about looking far away.
Mm-hmm.
Foresight and distant sight, looking far away in time and in space.
Right.
Very, very cool.
I agree.
Well, we also see these same two roots put together in a different form in the Elvish version of the poem A Elbereth Gilthoniel, which appears in Book 2, Chapter 1. And the phrase is Nahaered Palandiriel, having gazed afar.
Ah, yes.
Now, of course, this poem is written in Sindarin, but Parma Eldalamberon 17 suggests that this is a Quenya word introduced into Sindarin, and it's evidence of Quenya influence on High Elven Sindarin. You know you love it.
I know. Of course I do.
So, yeah, this is actually an instance of a Quenya word basically just being adopted into Sindarin.
Palantirio, right.
Yeah, the way English would adopt Latin words or French words.
Right, exactly.
Now, why is it Diriel instead of Tiriel? Well, Tolkien actually explains that in letter number 347.
Of course he does.
He talks about how the T has undergone soft mutation to a D. And both the letter and Parma Eldalamberon 17 give some details as to why, but I will not utter here.
Yeah, this philology fair is already gone.
It's a little too nerdy even for me. Now, one more thing, also buried in a very confusing and problematic etymology in Parma number 17, is a suggestion that palan, far or wide, might be distantly related to an adverb and preposition pella, beyond.
Oh.
Now, if that's the case, that may mean it's also related to the name of the Pelennor Fields, which literally means fenced land.
Beyond.
This is far from definitive, though. There's
Yeah.
actually a few paragraphs of kind of like back and forth in the essay in Parma El Delambron. So while it's interesting, I actually want to move on from that.
Okay.
But that's okay, because even if the link to the name of the Pelennor Fields themselves is inconclusive, the link to the name of the city located in the Pelennor Fields is more certain.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Tyr in Palantir, that means watch, is very obviously related to the name Minas Tirith, the Tower of Guard.
Oh, it absolutely is. And that's where we're going to be headed in just about an episode, though we won't get there for another year or more.
Longest horse ride ever.
Seriously. It's going to be the longest horse ride on this show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to start in July of 2021 and end in September of 2022.
2022.
Yeah. 15-month horse trip.
Yeah.
Hope Pippin packed well. All right.
I hope so. Bring some beef jerky, Pippin.
That's right. We can give you some recommended brands. All right. So let's not delay any further, okay?
All right. Alan, why don't you go ahead and start at the beginning?
Well, it is a very good place to start, so that's what I'll do. The sun was sinking behind the long western arm of the mountains when Gandalf and his companions, and the king with his riders, set out again from Isengard. Gandalf took Merry behind him, and Aragorn took Pippin. 2 of the king's men went on ahead, riding swiftly, and passed soon out of sight down into the valley. The others followed at an easy pace. Ents in a solemn row stood like statues at the gate, with their long arms uplifted, but they made no sound. Merry and Pippin looked back when they had passed some way down the winding road. Sunlight was still shining in the sky, but long shadows reached over Isengard, gray ruins falling into darkness. Treebeard stood alone there now, like the distant stump of an old tree. The hobbits thought of their first meeting upon the sunny ledge far away on the borders of Fangorn. They came to the Pillar of the White Hand. The pillar was still standing, but the graven hand had been thrown down and broken into small pieces. Right in the middle of the road the long forefinger lay, white in the dusk, its red nail darkening to black. "The Ents pay attention to every detail," said Gandalf. They rode on, and evening deepened in the valley.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
How's that for a setting, huh?
that is a beautiful place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Still kind of a ruin, but
Well,
you know,
yeah. They're leaving it, which automatically makes it more attractive.
that makes it on. And I like this beginning, right? We start
Yeah.
with this. We start with the sunset. It's always
Yeah.
nice to start with the sunset.
Mhm.
And this is the evening of March the 5th.
Right.
And we got Merry riding with Gandalf while Pippin rides with Aragorn.
Yeah, and the text doesn't say this, but I suspect Gandalf was already trying to keep Pippin away from the Palantir.
I think he was.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one who picked it up and handed it to him.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the text doesn't say this because Gandalf doesn't yet know that this is the Palantir. But we'll
Right,
get to
which
that.
we will get into in just a minute. But already we saw the reaction Gandalf had when Pippin touched it. Like, hey, nope, I didn't ask you to handle that. Give it to me.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm sure he's trying to keep it away from him. And then we see 2 of Theoden's men taking point and the rest following behind.
Right.
And then they pass the Ents. The Ents are still and silent because,
Right.
Ents, what else are they
Yeah.
going to do?
Right. The wild wood demons. They're not very wild right now, are they?
Not at all. They're quite mild.
The mild.
And then we get this lovely moment where Merry and Pippin look back. And they can
Yes.
see Treebeard in the last bit of sunlight.
Yeah, they see him like the distant stump of an old tree, and the text says that reminds them of their first meeting. So I'm going to remind you of their first meeting, going back to the Treebeard chapter. High up, almost level with the tops of forest trees, there was a shelf under a cliff. Nothing grew there but a few grasses and weeds at its edge, and one old stump of a tree with only 2 bent branches left. It looked almost like the figure of some gnarled old man standing there blinking in the morning light.
Wow. So this reminds them of that moment.
Yeah, I feel called out.
As you should. Gnarled old man standing there blinking in the morning light.
Yeah. All right.
But no, you have to think Merry and Pippin are they're thinking about,
Yeah,
we don't know when we're going to see our new friend again.
I know.
It's kind of a sad moment.
It is a poignant moment. Yeah.
It is. It is very much so. And then they come to the Pillar of the White Hand.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is still upright, but now the hand has actually been cast down and it's been smashed. It's
Yeah.
broken into several pieces.
I know. I love that. And they even spot the forefinger. That's the one with the red nail that we saw earlier on the road already, in pieces. And it's red nail turning black as the sun sets and dusk comes.
Yeah, and we get this interesting observation by Gandalf that the Ents pay attention to all the details.
That's right.
Hey, they even destroyed this thing.
Right.
Now, when we first saw this white hand, this is what we read. Suddenly a tall pillar loomed up before them. It was black, and set upon it was a great stone carved and painted in the likeness of a long white hand. Its finger pointed north.
And when they got closer and could see more, we read, "Now Gandalf rode to the great pillar of the hand and passed it. And as he did so, the riders saw to their wonder that the hand appeared no longer white. It was stained as with dried blood. And looking closer, they perceived that its nails were red."
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there some sort of symbolism going on here? Or is this, what? There is some symbolism. Somebody painted it red.
Somebody painted it red, so there must be some symbolism.
We talked about that a little bit at the time, right? Is this just...
Yeah. It's meant to be kind of threatening.
Yeah, blood for the violence and that kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. But what about Gandalf riding by and then the riders see this? Is there some effect that Gandalf is having on this hand as he's riding by? The idea that the riders saw to their wonder that the hand appeared no longer white. Right at the moment that Gandalf passed by, or is it just that they're watching Gandalf and then that's suddenly when they notice it?
Yeah, that's the tough part. The text isn't clear. We could speculate. Maybe this is the result of Gandalf, who now is Gandalf the White, right? Maybe as he passes by this symbol of Saruman the White, something in his...
Somehow like revealing...
Yeah, revealing the evil.
Showing everyone that Saruman is now evil.
Maybe. I don't know. It could just be... Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
I think that's probably it. I think it's just Gandalf happens to be riding by, and most of the people are looking at Gandalf, and then as he rides by, they see that detail.
They perceived that its nails were red. It's not as though its nails suddenly became red.
Right.
They just perceived that. Far away, they could only see that it was in the likeness of a long white hand. Now that they're closer, they see that it doesn't appear to be white anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But then what about the nail now turning black here?
Yeah. Is that more symbolism, or was it, and I'm going to again be very mundane, was it just because it was, getting dark? It is specifically darkening to black in the dusk.
Yeah.
The red, ceases being red.
Because there's no light shining on it anymore, so the red looks black in the darkness.
Right.
That's probably the simplest explanation, honestly.
It is. It's not the most interesting explanation, but it is the simplest one.
One other thing that just now occurred to me is the comparison to dried blood. You start to wonder, is it actually blood? And now the blood is just darkening the longer it sits there. But it's only been a couple of hours that they've been in there, right? So it's not like it's going to get that much darker in a short amount of time.
No, not black, certainly. I don't know.
Yeah. Probably, like you said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. And I think it's probably just, somebody painted it red.
Sometimes a long white forefinger with red nails in the middle of the road is just a long white forefinger with red fingernails in the middle of the road.
But if it's a long white middle finger in the middle of the road,
then we have a whole nother story.
Somebody's sending you a message.
There is definitely a message there. Yeah. Well, the smashing of the hand, I have to say, the casting down of the hand, that is obvious as the doing of the Ents. That's what Gandalf's talking about when he says the Ents pay attention to every detail. They didn't give the hand a manicure. They just smashed it. Right.
Although that would be hilarious if they
Wouldn't
did.
It? Oh, put your hand in the paraffin wax. Don't be hasty.
Yeah, no.
Man, that'd be the world's longest manicure. How long?
Nobody has time for that.
Nobody.
Hours.
It's like 3 days for a manicure. No, thank you.
It's bad enough when an Ent manicures a human being. Now, when an Ent manicures an Ent,
oh, goodness. What, 14 toes and all that stuff?
It's even worse because they've got all those splayed chestnutty fingers.
Oh, my goodness.
Those things take forever to manicure. And then if they do the mani-pedi, they're going to be there even longer.
Yeah, that's true. Man. And don't even get started on like an Ent spa day.
No. They're just standing in the waterfall, getting spritzed.
Yeah. Getting some sort of a facial. And then, I don't know. Who's going to give an Ent a massage, though?
That it would really hurt your hands.
It would really hurt your hands. Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
The splinters. But
oh man. All right. Well, we digress, but we're going to get moving and stop digressing here. And we're going to hang out with Merry and Gandalf a little bit. And Sean, that's where you're going to take over.
All right. Are we riding far tonight, Gandalf? Asked Merry after a while. I don't know how you feel with small ragtag dangling behind you, but the ragtag is tired and will be glad to stop dangling and lie down. So you heard that, said Gandalf. Don't let it rankle. Be thankful no longer words were aimed at you. He had his eyes on you. If it is any comfort to your pride, I should say that at the moment, you and Pippin are more in his thoughts than all the rest of us. Who you are, how you came there and why, what you know, whether you were captured, and if so, how you escaped when all the orcs perished. It is with those little riddles that the great mind of Saruman is troubled. A sneer from him, Meriadoc, is a compliment, if you feel honored by his concern. Thank you, said Merry. But it is a greater honor to dangle at your tail, Gandalf. For one thing, in that position one has a chance of putting a question a second time. Are we riding far tonight?
I love Merry.
Gandalf laughed. A most unquenchable hobbit. All wizards should have a hobbit or two in their care, to teach them the meaning of the word and to correct them. I beg your pardon, but I have given thought even to these simple matters. We will ride for a few hours gently until we come to the end of the valley. Tomorrow we must ride faster. When we came, we meant to go straight from Isengard back to the king's house at Edoras over the plains, a ride of some days. But we have taken thought and changed the plan. Messengers have gone ahead to Helm's Deep to warn them that the king is returning tomorrow. He will ride from there with many men to Dunharrow by paths among the hills. From now on, no more than 2 or 3 together are to go openly over the land by day or night when it can be avoided. Nothing or a double helping is your way, said Merry. I'm afraid I was not looking beyond tonight's bed.
Ever the practical Merry. We've commented on his practicality before.
Yeah.
And here he shows it again, no doubt.
It's just like, I just wanted to know when we're going to be resting tonight.
Yeah.
I'm tired. He's actually said that, he said that at the very beginning of my passage, and he does this in the most merry way possible.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
This sardonic wit that we always see from Merry.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, okay, I heard Saruman call me small ragtag. I'm going to play around with that.
Mm-hmm.
And Gandalf, he kind of just skips over this. I don't know if he's missing the point or if he's intentionally focusing on the small ragtag dangling bit because he wants Merry to not feel offended by that.
I guess, but maybe he forgets that Merry just doesn't get offended.
That is a good point.
Gandalf tells him, don't let it bother you. And, maybe it's some comfort to know that Saruman's really wondering about you and Pippin. Who are you? What do you want?
Yeah.
How did you get there? What do you know? That sort of thing.
Well, and this interesting observation that a sneer from Saruman is a compliment. And I think that makes a lot of sense, not only because Saruman is all about double talk, but also just in a very literal sense. If Saruman is taking the time to sneer in your direction, that means he's thinking about you. Yeah, you must be important.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that Gandalf does seem concerned about Merry's feelings. I think it's cool that Merry just lets it roll off. But I like the fact that Gandalf is like, oh, come on.
Don't let it rankle. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, by the way, Hammond and Skull point out that when Lord of the Rings was first published, this actually read, "Be thankful that no longer words were aimed at you. He had never met a hobbit before and did not know what kind of thing to say to you, but he had his eyes on you."
Now, that second bit about Saruman never meeting a hobbit before was no longer accurate in the story. As you might remember from our recent discussion on pipeweed, Saruman personally visited the Shire and secretly was buying tobacco for a pretty extended time. Now, eventually, to keep it secret, he did stop going in person and instead used Dunlending agents to make his purchases and to influence hobbits in the Shire. But the point is that Saruman clearly knew what hobbits were, and so that line would no longer be accurate. But that change wasn't published correctly until the second edition of Allen and Unwin in 1966.
That's pretty amazing.
Pretty long time, yeah.
Yeah, quite a long time for readers to be thinking that Saruman has never seen a hobbit before now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, then going back to the text, we get Merry repeating his point. Like,
I love it.
Are we riding far? Because, like I said, I'm tired.
And he makes that so obvious. I love it. Oh, it's a better honor to be here because then I get to ask you the same question that you totally missed.
Yeah.
Are we riding far tonight? I'm tired.
That. Absolutely love that.
It's brilliant.
And then Gandalf's wonderful response. Wizards should have a hobbit or two in their care to teach them what care means and to correct them.
I love that. To teach them the meaning of the word. That's brilliant.
Yeah. I think podcast hosts should have a hobbit or two in their care to correct us. And
that would be nice.
That's what care means.
Yeah. Well, Gandalf gives Merry the full-blown travel itinerary. Again, not quite the same question that Merry actually asked, but fine.
Right.
It's good for us to know, right? Originally, we were going to go straight over the plains back to Edoras. But the plan has changed. We're actually going to Helm's Deep, and men have gone ahead to get the forces together. And from there, the king and his men are going to ride to Dunharrow. And the reason we're going to be doing that is secrecy is now paramount.
Merry, regretting he asked. Now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Says,
Nothing or a double helping.
Nothing or a double helping. Like, before I couldn't get you to say anything. Now I can't get you to shut up. I was just talking about tonight's bed. I don't need the full itinerary for the coming days.
Seriously.
Oh, and by the way, Edoras, Helm's Deep, Dunharrow. I guess those are words, but I have no idea what they are.
I don't know what those are.
Or where they are.
Do you forget I've not been to those places yet?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're talking about these places like I know them.
I know. And then Gandalf, of course, in the part that we don't read there, said, well, then you best learn something. What? You're putting that on me?
Excuse me.
Oh, my goodness.
I've been hanging out at Isengard with the Ents.
I destroyed Saruman's place. So, maybe give me some credit here, Gandalf.
And I fed you guys when you showed up, by
Seriously.
the way.
And gave you pipeweed. So you ought to be thankful.
Pipeweed.
Yeah.
Well, Gandalf might be mad because he didn't get any.
That's true. That is true. Good point.
He also didn't get any of the wine, if I recall correctly.
No, he did not. They didn't send drink to the important people. No.
Yep.
But I love it. Gandalf said, hey, you should learn, but, not from me. I'm too busy. That is so classic Gandalf. Figure it out.
Swear.
Don't ask me.
That is an executive response,
Boy,
right
isn't
there.
it?
It's like, you need to be trained, but not by me.
But not by me.
I've got much more important things to worry about.
and Mary takes that in stride, right? He goes, oh, that's okay. I'll tackle Strider.
Sure.
Oh, and by the way, it's because he's less testy. Zing. Yeah. But then he asks that really obvious question.
Yeah.
I thought we'd won the battle. Why do we have to be all secret, right? That's a good point.
Right, yeah. Won the battle, but not the war, right?
Uh-huh,
and Gandalf points out that by defeating Saruman, they've actually increased the danger.
That's right, because there is a link between Saruman and Sauron, and Gandalf says, I don't know what that is.
Okay,
big.
I want to talk about that, but let's get through one more thing. Which is,
yeah.
He knows that Sauron is going to be looking this way,
right.
And that's why we need to be secretive.
Right, because that link exists. It tells us
there is some sort of link. Yeah, but I don't know what it is. That is huge. I mean,
it is.
So understand that at this point in the story, Gandalf doesn't know what the stone is. Mm-hmm. This big, heavy ball of glass that was just thrown at his head.
The bowling ball that hasn't had the holes drilled yet.
Right. He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know that it's a palantir.
Nope.
Or that it's how Saruman communicated with Sauron.
But then why did he say what he did near the end of the last chapter when he talked about the palantir? He says, I guess that even if we had entered in, we could have found few treasures in Orthanc more precious than the thing which Wormtongue threw down at us.
I mean, it's not like it's solid gold or diamond or anything like that.
No.
And after all, Tolkien had only just changed the draft to go from having the stone shatter on the stairs, which, basically be something completely unimportant,
right,
to having the stone actually break the stairs while remaining unharmed.
Exactly. Well, if we ask that question, you can be certain that somebody else asked that question before us. That's pretty fair. In this case, Christopher Tolkien asks this exact question in The War of the Ring and then actually proceeds to answer it, though, of course, he's only able to speculate. There is no actual answer. And he says, but then why was Gandalf so emphatic as he stood beneath the tower that we could have found few treasures in Orthanc more precious, even before Wormtongue's shriek gave reinforcement to his opinion? Perhaps we should suppose simply that this much at least was immediately clear to him, that a great ball of dark crystal in Orthanc was most unlikely to have been nothing but an elegant adornment of Saruman's study. He's right. I mean,
yeah.
In other words, Gandalf didn't know the nature of the stone. He certainly was aware that it held great value to Saruman, regardless of its use.
He knew it wasn't just a really big paperweight.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a bookend. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the Unfinished Tales, in the section on the Palantir, we read that the White Council in general must independently have known of the stones and their ancient dispositions, but they did not regard them as of much present importance.
Right.
They were things that belonged to the history of the kingdoms of the Dunedain, marvelous and admirable, but mostly now lost or rendered of little use.
Mm-hmm. And later we read that although Gandalf had in latter years enlarged his own and the council's knowledge of Gondor's history by study of its documents, his and their chief concern was still with the ring. The possibilities latent in the stones were not realized. It is evident that at the time of the War of the Ring, the council had not long become aware of the doubt concerning the fate of the Ithil stone. Now, that's the stone that would have been at Minas Ithil when it was captured and turned into Minas Morgul. So then the council failed, understandably under the weight of their cares, to appreciate its significance, to consider what might be the result if Sauron became possessed of one of the stones and anyone else should then make use of another.
That is really, really fascinating.
It really is.
The Palantir were just the stuff of legend, even to the wizards.
Even to the whole White Council.
They knew they were real. They
Yeah.
knew they had been real. They knew they had been part of history. But they had no idea that they were still a factor in anything that was
That they
going
still
on.
existed, that they were still intact, right?
Right.
I mean, Saruman knew, but he wasn't going
Right,
to tell
exactly.
them.
He wasn't telling anybody. Yeah.
Right.
So, and we're actually going to come back to this section in Unfinished Tales. In fact, we're going to come back to the same paragraph, I believe,
Right.
later in this chapter after some of Pippin's misadventures. So,
Mhm.
folks, if you're following along in your books, keep that bookmarked and we'll be back at it soon.
Absolutely. Well, there is a link between our listeners and us, which some have not yet fathomed. It's our website, prancingponypodcast.com.
Indeed, we have all the good stuff there.
Mhm.
Show notes, outtakes, prancing pony ponderings, as well as our online storefront where you can get PPP shirts, mugs, stickers, and more.
And one of the best resources we have there is our library page. After all, we love the books here at the Prancing Pony Podcast, and we want to make sure you can get your hands on any of the books that we mention here.
Yeah, we may talk about a lot of Tolkien-related stuff on the podcast, but at heart, Alan and I are fans of Tolkien's books and books about Tolkien. That's why we have the library page with links to every book we've mentioned on the show.
Now, we do make a few pennies from the purchases you make from those links, so thank you for your support. Now, we already talked about this last week, but we definitely want to bring it to you again. Sean and I want to tell you about a great podcast called Storybound. Now, they've just started their 4th season. The show features a wide range of today's top writers reading their own works on the show, essays, poems, and stories.
In every episode, authors share their critically acclaimed writing, accompanied by an immersive soundscape of original music and sound effects.
Now, the new season includes writers like Chuck Klosterman, Morgan Jerkins, Matt Haig, Nicole Perkins, Omar El Akkad, Ruth Warrener, and Tamara Winfrey Harris.
Storybound is brought to you by The Podglomerate and LitHub Radio, and Season 4 is their best yet, so subscribe today on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this show.
Now, you know we're all about Tolkien and his books here at the Prancing Pony Podcast, but I think it's pretty clear we're big fans of lots of other worlds, too.
I think that's very clear. And one of the ones that's a big favorite for both of us is Star Wars.
Oh, you're not kidding. But even if you're not a massive Star Wars fan, there's something amazing about the sounds of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, there is. I mean, the sound of the lightsaber turning on, the whiz of that TIE fighter screaming by.
Sorry, I'm terrible at these things, but I'm going to try.
Or even just the cry of Utini from the Jawas.
I'll leave that one to you. Folks, if you're curious about how these sounds were made, combining bear growls and lion roars to get Chewbacca's voice, or how an old scuba mask turned into Darth Vader's breathing, well,
you can learn about how all of these incredible sounds were built with an exciting new podcast coming in September called Star Wars Sound Design.
That's right. Star Wars Sound Design will be exploring how Ben Burtt created the iconic sounds of the Star Wars universe from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
And you're going to get a chance to step along the process yourself and experience these sounds being recreated from scratch using the same techniques they used in the movies.
So go subscribe to Star Wars Sound Design on your favorite podcast app.
Yeah, go listen to the trailer that's just been released. Just search for Star Wars Sound Design on your favorite app, then subscribe so you don't miss the launch.
And may the Force be with you.
Okay, well now let's go camping. In the text, I mean.
Yeah.
Alan, you want to go ahead and read?
I think I will. So we're skipping a few paragraphs. This is after Gandalf explains why there's still danger. The road passed slowly, winding down the valley. Now further and now nearer, Isen flowed in its stony bed. Night came down from the mountains. All the mists were gone. A chill wind blew. The moon, now waxing round, filled the eastern sky with a pale, cold sheen. The shoulders of the mountain to their right sloped down to bare hills. The wide plains opened gray before them. At last they halted. Then they turned aside, leaving the highway and taking to the sweet upland turf again. Going westward a mile or so, they came to a dale. It opened southward, leaning back into the slope of round Dol Baran, the last hill of the northern ranges, green-footed, crowned with heather. The sides of the glen were shaggy with last year's bracken, among which the tight-curled fronds of spring were just thrusting through the sweet-scented earth. Thorn bushes grew thick upon the low banks, and under them they made their camp, 2 hours or so before the middle of the night. They lit a fire in a hollow, down among the roots of a spreading hawthorn, tall as a tree, writhen with age, but hale in every limb. Buds were swelling at each twig's tip. Guards were set, 2 at a watch. The rest, after they had supped, wrapped themselves in a cloak and blanket and slept.
Wow.
Now, that's an example of a reading where nothing happened, but wow.
But oh my gosh, is it worth reading?
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we just have to read these landscape descriptions and just take our breath away. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right in. I mean, this is basically just them heading out of the valley. That's all there is to it. But this landscape description is just absolutely astounding. We got to pay some attention to this.
You really do. You get the chill wind, the waxing round moon, which brings me to the whole phases of the moon thing. It's going to be a full moon in 2 nights, so it's very close to full now.
All right.
And we start to see the mountains going away and being replaced by the foothills, and then the plains opening up before them. And this is beautiful.
It really is. And then they leave the highway and they head out onto the grass. Again, another tiny little bit of action.
Yes.
And then much more beautiful, beautiful description, starting with the sweet upland turf. I mean, you can smell that, can't you?
Yeah, you really can. It's that earthy,
that sweet,
fresh
earthy
grass.
smell.
It is beautiful. And they continue off the road about a mile or so west of the road, and that's when they come onto a valley that opens up to the south. And the end of it there is against the slope of Dol Badran, which is the last foothill of the mountains.
Yep. And I've got some word nerdery here on Dol Badran.
Good.
According to Hammond and Skull, Tolkien initially wrote, but then deleted the definition brown head. Now, brown head would make sense, right? Baran means brown, as in Baranduin, or Brandywine, which means golden brown river.
Right.
But Tolkien, in his unfinished index entry for Baran, specifically says that this is not the case for Tol Baran, and says that for that meaning, we should see Paran with a P instead.
Okay.
Now, Paran means smooth, shaven, often applied to hills without trees. Compare with Dol Baran.
Aha.
So, another case of soft mutation of a P to a B, and the actual meaning is not brown hill, but smooth hill.
Well, and it is a smooth hill indeed, right? There are no trees. It's just crowned with heather.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, its sides are covered with bracken. And Alan, you had asked me to see if I could find anything in flora on the bracken.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a whole lot there. What I did see is that bracken is a tall fern that forms these dense stands. It's a common weed in pastures.
I know what you're talking about. And that's why we get this year's fronds of spring. The new fronds of the fern are growing among. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then they make the camp under those really thick thorn bushes at about 10 o'clock at night, by the way.
Right. Hammond and Skull point out that according to the calculation of distances in the manuscripts, Dol Baran is 16 miles from the gates of Isengard. So they've covered that distance in about 5 hours here.
So they're not moving at a particularly fast pace.
No, not much faster than walking, really.
No. They light a fire under that huge hawthorn shrub. That's the thorns, right?
Right.
But it's spring, and so this old, huge hawthorn shrub is actually beginning to bud. It's full of life. Yeah.
Right. And you just sort of hinted at this, but it wasn't clear to me at first that the hawthorn mentioned here is the same as the thorn bushes mentioned in the previous sentence.
Yeah.
Flora of Middle-earth confirms that they are one and the same, and hawthorns or thorns appear pretty frequently in Tolkien's writings, most likely because they are a common feature in rural English hedges today, and probably were also in Tolkien's time.
Assumedly so, yeah.
Just a bit of Englishness, yeah.
So then, of course, they set the guards, 2 at a watch, and everybody goes to sleep. And we're going to pick up with you reading a little conversation between Merry and Pippin before they drift off.
All right, yeah, because the hobbits are kind of lying in a corner all by themselves.
Yeah.
And trying to go to sleep.
Well, one of them's trying to go to sleep.
That's true. The other one isn't trying very hard. He's twisting and turning.
No, he's not.
And then I'm going to go ahead and pick up with Pippin's dialogue.
All right.
I wonder how long it is since I slept in a bed. Merry yawned. Work it out on your fingers, he said. But you must know how long it is since we left Lorien. Oh, that, said Pippin. I mean a real bed in a bedroom. Well, Rivendell then, said Merry. But I could sleep anywhere tonight. You had the luck, Merry, said Pippin softly after a pause. You were riding with Gandalf. Well, what of it? Did you get any news? Any information out of him? Yes, a good deal. More than usual. But you heard it all, and most of it. You were close by, and we were talking no secrets. But you can go with him tomorrow if you think you can get more out of him, and if he'll have you. Can I? Good. But he's close, isn't he? Not changed at all. Oh, yes, he is, said Merry, waking up a little, and beginning to wonder what was bothering his companion. He has grown as something. He can be both kinder and more alarming, merrier and more solemn than before, I think. He has changed, but we have not had a chance to see how much yet. But think of the last part of that business with Saruman. Remember, Saruman was once Gandalf's superior, head of the council, whatever that may be exactly. He was Saruman the White. Gandalf is the White now. Saruman came when he was told, and his rod was taken, and then he was just told to go, and he went.
That's power right there.
Power and authority.
So going back to the beginning of the passage that you read there, Merry and Pippin are settling in. And though Merry, as we observed, is ready to sleep, has been ready for a long time, as he told Gandalf.
Oh, yeah.
Pippin is restless, isn't he?
Yeah, and so Merry asks him why he's tossing and turning. He asks his question with his usual merry snark. Are you lying on an anthill?
I love that.
And Pippin says, no, but I'm not comfortable, and I wonder how long it's been since we've slept in an actual bed.
Well, funny you should ask. It's the night of March 5th, as we observed earlier, and they left Lorien on February 16th. So it's been a little while if we talk about Lorien, but Pippin clearly doesn't count that.
Nope.
He wants a real bed in a real bedroom, and that means Rivendell. Well, we know they left Rivendell on December 25th, so we're talking about 70 nights. It's a long time.
Wow, that's a long time
without
sleeping
bed.
in a real bed.
Man, I don't know I could do that.
I don't know if I could go a week without sleeping in a real bed.
I don't think I could go. I certainly couldn't go 70 days. No.
I could do a few days for sure, but 70 days?
Man.
No, yeah.
My back's going to stop working altogether.
I've obviously gone soft.
We're hobbits for sure, aren't we?
Yeah, we really are. Except not these hobbits. We're like
we're
Fatty Bulger and Ted
right.
Sandyman.
Yeah.
All right, so they're continuing this conversation, and now Pippin is actually pushing Merry for news from Gandalf. He's like, look, you were riding with him. Come on, what did you hear? I know he told you something. And Merry says,
he did.
Yeah, he talked to me, but you heard everything. You were right there. And says, look, if you really want, okay, fine, you can sit with Gandalf tomorrow if Gandalf will have you.
Oh, he will. He will.
Oh, yes, he will. Yeah, things are going to change, and Gandalf is going to be really eager to have Pippin riding with him.
That is right. So Pippin starts talking about how he thinks that Gandalf hasn't changed, but man, Merry is quick to correct him, right? I mean, this wakes up Merry a little bit, and starting to wonder, Merry, I wonder what's bothering Pippin. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that Merry is quick to correct him.
Yeah, I do too.
This is a naive response from Pippin here.
It is.
About, Gandalf hasn't changed. Like, no, actually, he's changed a lot. And Merry sees that. And then this description of how, he's both kinder and more alarming. He's merrier and more solemn than before. So obviously kind of a wider range of emotions than he's displayed in the past.
That's an interesting observation.
I wonder why that is.
Well, I mean, I can think of how, I was going to say nearly dying, but actually dying might make one a little kinder and more merry, sort of appreciative of life,
Yeah, I think so. I think it probably have you feeling all your emotions more strongly, honestly.
I would turn the volume up to 11. Yeah.
All the way to 11. It goes to 11. But also having the awareness of the massive task in front of him is going to make him more alarming and more solemn.
That's true. Yeah.
He's testy. We know that, right?
Oh, he's still testy. That's just Gandalf, right? That hasn't changed, but he has changed. We just haven't seen how much yet, right? I mean, we haven't had that much opportunity. Certainly Merry and Pippin haven't to see the change. But Merry points out, you want an example of change? Look at how he handled Saruman. Gandalf has the power and authority now.
Yeah, absolutely. And he starts to piece things together, which are a very accurate understanding of the situation. That Gandalf is now the White. Yeah. He's now Saruman's boss, and just look at how he was able to break his rod and make him basically come and go at his command.
Come back, Saruman. I've not dismissed you. Yeah, and he comes back.
I mean, obviously everybody saw that. And we saw in the last episode how seeing Saruman treated like that kind of broke the illusion for everybody.
Humiliated him. Yeah, which is what you need to do when somebody's filled with as much pride as Saruman has. He's got to be humiliated. Yeah,
exactly. And yet Merry has also kind of put those pieces together and kind of made some further inferences about just sort of the power balance within the wizard order.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, well, I'm going to let you go ahead and pick up now, and we're going to see the real reason why Pippin's pushing Merry.
Oh, yes, we will. If the first part of Merry and Pippin's conversation was wheedling, this part is obsession.
Obsession by Peregrine Took.
The new fragrance from Peregrine Took.
Mm-hmm.
Available now at finer department stores throughout the Shire. All right. Well, if Gandalf has changed it all, then he's closer than ever, that's all, Pippin argued. That glass ball now. He seemed mighty pleased with it. He knows or guesses something about it, but does he tell us what? No, not a word. Yet I picked it up and I saved it from rolling into a pool. Here, I'll take that, my lad, that's all. I wonder what it is. It felt so very heavy. Pippin's voice fell very low, as if he was talking to himself. Hello, said Merry. So that's what is bothering you. Now, Pippin, my lad, don't forget Gildor's saying, the one Sam used to quote, do not meddle in the affairs of wizards, for they are subtle and quick to anger. But our whole life for months has been one long meddling in the affairs of wizards, said Pippin. I should like a bit of information as well as danger. I should like a look at that ball. Go to sleep, said Merry. You'll get information enough sooner or later. Idea, Pippin, no Took ever beat a brandybuck for inquisitiveness. But is this the time, I ask you? All right. What's the harm in my telling you what I should like? A look at that stone? I know I can't have it without Gandalf sitting on it like a hen on an egg. But it doesn't help much to get no more from you than a you can't have it, so go to sleep. Yeah, but it would have helped if you just realized you can't have it and went to sleep.
Yeah, it would totally help.
Yeah.
If you just got that. This is a really interesting exchange between these two guys.
It's so revealing. Yeah.
Yeah. Pippin very quickly makes it very obvious what he's been on about. He's been afraid to kind of say it, and now he just jumps right in.
Well, even then, he's still a little hesitant, right? Oh, yeah, he's closer than ever.
That glass ball now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was just trying to think of something, but that's the only example that comes to mind.
Exactly. Let me come up with an example. Oh, yeah, that thing. That little thing.
That glass ball now.
Yeah. When in reality, he's basically Gimli with the old man at this point.
He really is. Yeah. He has become fully obsessed. Now I'm picturing Gimli trying to sneak off and get a look at the old man. Like grabs his head.
Walking away with him in a cloak.
Right.
Taking the cloak off.
Oh, no. No, don't take the cloak off the old man. Never. All right. Oh, no. So, Pippin, of course, continuing on. Oh, Gandalf seems pretty happy with it, but he doesn't tell us anything. I'm the one who saved it. And then he starts doing this interesting thing, right? Oh, I wonder what it is. It, felt so heavy. And the text says it's like he was talking to himself. And I don't know about you, but that immediately put me in mind of the conversation between Boromir and Frodo when it became clear that Boromir talking about the ring was just talking to himself.
100%. That is what I got here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's that same pattern of obsession where he's just going on and on about it.
He just can't stop thinking about it.
It's very interesting to see this with an object other than the One Ring.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Now, I do have to say, in Gandalf's defense, he doesn't even know what it is. We talked about this.
No, that's true.
Pippin's complaining that Gandalf won't tell them what it is. Gandalf doesn't even know what it is.
And Gandalf doesn't want to say, I have no idea.
Right, that's true. And he doesn't want to say all the things he thinks it might be.
No, of course not.
So there's that. But anyway, Merry is kind of trying his best to calm his friend down. He's like, look, remember what Gildor told us? Remember that wonderful proverb we got all the way back in book 1? Do not meddle in the affairs of wizards, for they are subtle and quick to anger.
That's right.
So yeah, Merry tries his best to calm his friend down. And, hey, remember that thing that Gildor told you guys? Because remember, Merry wasn't actually there when they met Gildor
that's right.
back in book 1.
Yeah.
But, Sam has been quoting this, that wonderful proverb, do not meddle in the affairs of wizards, for they are subtle and quick to anger.
That's right. And Pippin, of course, points out, look, and I do love the way he says this, that is all we've been doing for months now. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
No.
Yeah.
And he has an interesting point here. Like, I want to know things. If I face the danger, I should have some knowledge. Yeah, okay.
That's interesting.
How about you wait until maybe Gandalf has some knowledge to give you?
That's interesting. It's that, ours not to question why, right?
A little bit.
That's basically what Merry's telling him. Like, let's just do our thing and don't worry about it. But Pippin is not satisfied with that anymore, at least in this particular instance.
Yeah.
He wants to know what's going on.
He really, really does.
So Merry tries again. It's like, dude, just go to sleep, man.
Right.
Come on.
Right. You'll get information on this eventually, but this is not the time for your inquisitive nature. And yeah, Pippin just does not back off, does he?
No, in fact, he starts to get a bit defensive. I mean, more than a bit, honestly. He's like, look, what if I'm just telling you that this is what I want? I know I can't have it. And then it's not, I know I can't have it because I shouldn't have it. I know I can't have it because Gandalf is sitting on it like a hen on an egg.
Which is a great analogy.
And your attitude sure isn't helping.
No. And then even though we didn't read the rest of that, Merry holds his ground too. He said, look, just can we please wait? We can deal with this after breakfast. I'd like to sleep.
Yeah.
He's been telling Gandalf how
Poor
tired
Merry.
he was for hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Pippin doesn't realize that that's the only conversation they had that he wasn't privy to.
That's
was Merry
right.
complaining about how tired he was.
Yeah. Yeah. Merry, of course, like, I'll help you tomorrow with some wizard wheedling. I'm good at that.
Yeah.
As Gandalf can tell you. Right. But yeah, tomorrow, please.
If I yawn anymore, I shall split at the ears, man. I have felt like that
I have
before.
felt that is so true.
When you cannot hold your mouth closed because that yawn is just coming.
Oh, man. And it's that sleep that you just feel like if you close your eyes for 2 seconds, your head is going to tip down, your chin's going to hit your chest, and you're out.
You're gone.
Yeah, I've been there. Well, Pippin, I wish that would happen to him. He could use a good night's sleep, but that's not what he's going to do, is it?
No.
I'm going to have you pick up shortly after that after Merry's fallen asleep.
Yep. The thought of the dark globe seemed to grow stronger as all grew quiet. Pippin felt again its weight in his hands, and saw again the mysterious red depths into which he had looked for a moment. He tossed and turned, and tried to think of something else. At last he could stand it no longer. He got up and looked round. It was chilly, and he wrapped his cloak about him. The moon was shining cold and white, down into the dell, and the shadows of the bushes were black. All about lay sleeping shapes. The 2 guards were not in view. They were up on the hill, perhaps, or hidden in the bracken. Driven by some impulse that he did not understand, Pippin walked softly to where Gandalf lay. He looked down at him. The wizard seemed asleep, but with lids not fully closed. There was a glitter of eyes under his long lashes. Pippin stepped back hastily, but Gandalf made no sign, and drawn forward once more, half against his will, the hobbit crept up again from behind the wizard's head. He was rolled in a blanket, with his cloak spread over the top, and close beside him, between his right side and his bent arm, there was a hummock, something round wrapped in a dark cloth. His hand seemed only just to have slipped off it to the ground. Hardly breathing, Pippin crept nearer, foot by foot. At last he knelt down. Then he put his hands out stealthily, and slowly lifted the lump up. It did not seem quite so heavy as he had expected. Only some bundle of oddments, perhaps, after all, he thought, with a strange sense of relief. But he did not put the bundle down again. He stood for a moment clasping it. Then an idea came into his mind. He tiptoed away, found a large stone, and came back. Quickly now he drew off the cloth, wrapped the stone in it, and kneeling down, laid it back by the wizard's hand. Then at last he looked at the thing that he had uncovered. There it was, a smooth globe of crystal, now dark and dead, lying bare before his knees.
Don't do it, Pippin. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Last chance.
Yeah.
Last chance to back out, man.
It really is. So going back to the beginning of that passage, Pippin hears the sound of Merry falling asleep. And I don't know about you, but that is the terrible sound when you can't sleep and you can hear somebody else sleeping. I just want to be asleep, though. In this case, Pippin doesn't want to.
Yeah.
But the quiet makes the thoughts of the ball grow stronger, and he can start to sense it in his mind.
Yeah. And to his credit, he tried to think of something else.
Yeah, that's true.
He really did try. And we've all been there, right?
Oh, yeah.
When you can't sleep because you're obsessing about something and you're trying to think of something else. You're trying to fall asleep. And eventually, Pippin does what a lot of us would do. Eventually, he gives in and gets up. He goes and does the thing that, sometimes just like, I forgot to do this and I need to do it. So I'm just gonna get up and I'm going to go send
to pay
that
that bill
now.
And it's going to be late if I don't get it paid. And
send that email. And the next day somebody says, why did you email me at 2:00 in the morning? Because if I didn't, I wouldn't have slept. Yeah, exactly. So that's what he does. He gets up and he wraps his cloak about him against the cold.
Now, remember, we're on the side of a bare hill here, not in Edoras as the films show. That's one of the reasons why he has to wrap his cloak about him. We do see the moon shining and, of course, the black shadows, not a surprise.
That's right. And everybody's sleeping. The guards are not near, or at least they're not visible. They might actually be hidden in the bracken because, remember, those are tall ferns. They grow really thickly together. Good for cover. And then we see Pippin have this impulse that he doesn't understand. Now, I have to ask, is this something supernatural? Or is this just Pippin obsessing because he wants something and he can't get it?
That's possible.
I mean, honestly, I think it's both. I would be inclined to say, oh, maybe it's nothing supernatural. But later in the chapter, Gandalf does say something about how it draws one to itself, right? And he
Ooh.
talks about how it even has a pull on him.
Good catch, yeah.
So there does seem to be something supernatural here, which we'll talk about more next time, I think.
That's fair. I think so.
Probably a little bit of both, I think.
Yeah.
And so then he walks to Gandalf and he
Mhm.
looks at him.
Yeah. And Gandalf looks like he's asleep, but with his eyes partly open, which is seriously creepy.
A bit, yeah.
The glitter under his long lashes, I don't think they actually mean like, the glitter that
He's been
comes in an
clubbing.
envelope.
He's got glitter on his lashes.
He's been clubbing.
Gandalf's been at a rave. He's got the glitter makeup on.
Oh man, no, I can't see that happening. So Pippin backs away, kind of freaked out by that, but then he realizes Gandalf is clearly asleep, so he comes forward again, and I love this phrase, half against his will.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. That is very interesting because, again, later in the chapter, Gandalf is going to say that, Pippin, you knew what you were doing was wrong.
Which is true.
And it is true. But this half against his will and the possibility that there's some sort of supernatural draw here
Yeah.
does suggest that it's not entirely Pippin's fault, is it?
I think you're right. I mean, if we go with the conclusion that you just drew about that there is at least some supernatural element to this and not just Pippin's obsession with a thing he can't have, combine that with half against his will, and you do get this sort of idea that, Pippin tried, but was always doomed to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, and we see what comes of it, don't we?
That's
But
true.
I don't
We
want to
do.
get ahead of ourselves.
No, that will be next week. So next to Gandalf's body, between his body and his arm, actually, so right there as he's sleeping, is a hummock. You want to tell me a little bit about what a hummock is? It sounds like it might be, a hammock, but it isn't, is it?
No, although I love the idea of Gandalf sleeping in a hammock.
I do too. I don't know if I want a hammock between his body and his arms, like it's a little miniature hammock for somebody else to sleep in.
That's just very strange.
Yeah, that is weird.
No, I'm just thinking, he's got some business hammocks,
Yeah.
He's been to the hammock district.
And it's no relation to ham hock either, right?
No, it's no relation to
I'm just getting farther away.
Yeah, you really are. So a hummock, let's reel it back in.
All right.
A hummock usually refers to a bump in the earth, like a hillock or a mound.
Right.
But here it's used metaphorically. It's talking about a bump, which is the stone underneath this cloth that Gandalf is holding while he sleeps.
Right, but it's enough that actually for a little while, Pippin isn't even sure it is the stone, is it?
That's a good point. Yeah.
So the moment is tense. I mean, really, really tense as Pippin gets closer and closer to the stone. I love the way he builds the tension in that scene.
Yeah.
Starting out with the idea of hardly breathing, and then everything is just slow burn to get to the next thing. The stealthy approach and slowly lifting it up. Yeah.
That's right. And it's not as heavy as he thought it was going to be. So he actually takes strange comfort from this, right? Because part of him doesn't want it to be the stone. Part of him doesn't want to actually do what he's doing here.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of thinking like, maybe it's not the stone. Maybe it's just some clothes or something.
Right.
Or a bundle of oddments, something light. So he keeps going. And then he actually goes so far as to put a stone in its place next to Gandalf.
You got to know better. That's to me, that says he knows what he's doing is wrong.
You know what you're doing is wrong because you're trying to hide it. You want to make sure Gandalf doesn't wake up until you've done what you're going to do.
And we'll get some more examples of evidence that he knows better. So now he reveals what he's found, right? He sees this smooth globe of crystal, dark and inert. And that matches, of course, what we read in Unfinished Tales, where we learn that the stones, quote, were perfect spheres, appearing when at rest to be made of solid glass or crystal, deep black in hue.
That's right. So then in the passage between my passage and what you're about to read, we see Pippin hide his loot under his own cloak and then head back to his bed. And we see Gandalf moving and talking in his sleep and then grasping for the stone and then getting not the stone, but the other
an
stone.
actual rock. Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's enough to put him back to sleep, though.
It's enough to put him back to sleep and give Pippin enough time to do
quite
possibly the most foolish thing he ever does in his lifetime of foolish tookishness.
I mean, this makes throwing a rock down the well in Moria look absolutely tame.
Yeah, it does.
All right, I'm going to pick this up. You idiotic fool, Pippin muttered to himself. You're going to get yourself into frightful trouble. Put it back quick. But he found now that his knees quaked, and he did not dare to go near enough to the wizard to reach the bundle. I'll never get it back now without waking him, he thought. Not till I'm a bit calmer. So I may as well have a look first. Not just here, though. He stole away and sat down on a green hillock not far from his bed. The moon looked in over the edge of the dell. Pippin sat with his knees drawn up and the ball between them. He bent low over it, looking like a greedy child stooping over a bowl of food in a corner away from others. He drew his cloak aside and gazed at it. The air seemed still and tense about him. At first, the globe was dark, black as jet, with the moonlight gleaming on its surface. Then there came a faint glow and stir in the heart of it, and it held his eyes so that now he could not look away. Soon all the inside seemed on fire. The ball was spinning, or the lights within were revolving. Suddenly, the lights went out. He gave a gasp and struggled, but he remained bent, clasping the ball with both hands. Closer and closer he bent, and then became rigid. His lips moved soundlessly for a while. Then, with a strangled cry, fell back and lay still.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you're going to wish he hadn't done that.
At this point, Pippin obviously knows what he's done is wrong. He knows what he's done is foolish. He even says this to himself, "You idiotic fool." Basically channeling Gandalf.
Seriously.
This is exactly what Gandalf would say.
This is his inner Gandalf.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
He knows he's going to get himself into trouble.
Oh, huge trouble.
And he thinks about putting it back. He thinks, maybe I shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
But now, he's not going to put it back because now he's afraid of waking up Gandalf.
And that may be true, but I think it's also rationalizing things here. I mean, let's be honest, even if he woke Gandalf up, it's better than what he's about to do, by a long shot.
It is totally rationalizing things, and it would totally be better than what he's about to do.
How proud of him would Gandalf be if he woke him up and said, "Gandalf, I took this. I shouldn't have. And now I'm terrified to look at it, and I want to give it back to you." And Gandalf would be like, "You're doing the right thing, son." I mean...
Would he, though? Would he say, "You fool of a took," and he'd kick him in the backside? And
then he'd say, "But you could have been a bigger fool."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you did the right thing, finally, fool.
Finally, fool of a took. But it is still better than what he would have done.
And I guess that's what Pippin doesn't want. And maybe this is just Pippin's immaturity, his naivete a little bit, because he is actually more afraid of Gandalf's rapprochement than he is of doing the thing that he knows he shouldn't do that Gandalf will reproach him for.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
It's like the kid who's like more afraid of their parents being angry at them than they are afraid of, I don't know.
No, I get
whatever,
that.
Like riding their bike in the empty pool.
My son has lied. He knows that the punishment for lying is significantly worse than whatever it is he should have done or shouldn't have done in the first place, right?
Right.
But he's so afraid of me being angry about the thing he should have done or shouldn't have done that he lies in order to make sure he doesn't get into that trouble, thereby making himself get into a whole lot worse trouble. And that's exactly what Pippin's doing here.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, much like a child, he's not afraid of the thing that is actually dangerous to his person.
That's right.
It's that parental fear, that fear of disapproval that is going to drive him here.
Yeah.
And I think that's how he rationalizes this to himself.
Sure looks that way.
So we get this thought pattern.
I know this is A follows B follows C. No, it does not. This is
his thought process. It's like, well, since I have to wait anyway,
I
might as well take a look. You know?
Oh my gosh,
I got it.
This is crazy.
So I might as well look at this thing. Oh, but I better not do so here because, again, I don't want Gandalf to be mad at me.
Right. And this is frankly more evidence that he knows that what he's doing is wrong. He stole away, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So he does. He steals away and he sits down to have a closer look.
Yeah. And we get another indication of wrongdoing, right? It's this analogy of the greedy child in a corner away from others. We've talked about isolation before, haven't we?
We have, and that is such a wonderful simile from Tolkien, because that
really is.
That is exactly what Pippin is here. He's a greedy child. He's doing something foolish, immature,
self-serving, right?
Self-serving. He's only thinking about what he wants right now,
satisfying his curiosity, not thinking about what harm this might bring to anybody else. Yeah.
And I don't want people to feel like we're beating up on Pippin.
Oh no.
A lot of people would do this. We have all felt like this. We've all obsessed over something.
Yeah. And Gandalf talks about the danger of this. He, next week when we talk about the second half of this episode, we're going to see Aragorn making a claim and Gandalf giving it to him, but being like, but don't use it, right? Don't make this mistake.
Right.
Because using it would be a mistake right now. Yeah.
Right.
So then, of course, at first, Pippin sees nothing, right? We get the dark, black as jet. It's a gorgeous description, the moonlight gleaming on the surface of this magic 8-ball.
Yeah, and then I have to say, just the minimalism of this description is the creepiest thing.
It is, isn't it?
Honestly, I think Tolkien not describing this is much scarier than actually describing it in detail would have been.
In a way, you're right. I mean, it is a very brief description, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's just, this... It's what, 2 sentences? And you blink and you miss it.
The faint glow, the
faint
stir,
glow and a stir,
and then the
fire.
insides being on fire with the ball spinning and the lights are revolving, and then lights go out.
Yeah,
that's it.
And it's something about those lights revolving that's a really creepy image to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, it is. And the confusion that Pippin has: the ball is spinning, or the lights within are revolving.
Yeah, because this thing is so black and so smooth that he can't tell. There's not a single blemish or flaw on the glass or the crystal. He can't tell if it's actually the ball itself that's moving. And but whatever it is that he's looking at, it is just completely capturing his eyes and his attention. He cannot look away.
No, he can't. In fact, he starts to struggle. He starts to gasp, and now he's clasping the ball with both hands, and he gets even nearer. We saw earlier this whole, like a child stooping over the bowl of food. Now he's even closer than that. And he freezes. His mouth starts moving without sound. This is creepy.
It is. And then this heart-wrenching, strangled cry and falling back on the ground.
Which,
And boy, that wakes everybody up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I have to say, though, that the odds of Pippin actually seeing anything, interestingly, when we learn how the stones actually work, seems really remote that he would have actually seen something, because in Unfinished Tales we read, though without any external markings of any kind, they had permanent poles and were originally so placed in their sights that they stood upright. Their diameters from pole to pole pointed to the earth's center, but the permanent nether pole must then be at the bottom. The faces along the circumference in this position were the viewing faces, receiving the visions from the outside, but transmitting them to the eye of a surveyor upon the far side. A surveyor, therefore, who wished to look west would place himself on the east side of the stone, and if he wished to shift his vision northward, must move to his left, southward.
Now, these fixed poles and viewing faces mean that, and I'm quoting again, if a stone became unseated or disturbed, it could be reset by observation, and it was then useful to revolve it. But when removed and cast down, as was the Orthanc stone, it was not so easy to set right.
That's right.
Because you're not talking about just shifting it a few degrees. You're talking about this thing's been completely removed.
You've got to get the correct orientation of the pole, which has to be vertical, with the right pole pointing downward, the permanent nether pole. And then you have to be facing in the correct direction. Yeah. And Christopher Tolkien explains that. It does appear that some spibimi was at work, though he doesn't use that phrase, unfortunately. He says, it was by chance, as men call it, as Gandalf would have said, that Peregrine, fumbling with the stone, must have set it on the ground more or less upright, and, sitting westward of it, have had the fixed east-looking face in the proper position.
Interesting stroke of luck.
Yeah, if luck you call it, right.
Yeah. Like you said, spibimi at work. And I have to say, I mean, this does not seem like a user-friendly design to me.
No, this is terrible UI design.
And there's a little bit of feedback for whoever designed these things, Feanor. But
Black.
Really, can you make them a little easier to use, man?
Just an arrow, this side up or something like that. And
then
an indicator of which way is north. Right.
Yeah. A couple of little feet at the bottom or something.
Yeah. Just give us a couple of axes, right?
Yeah. That's all we need. But oh no.
No, that would mar the beauty of the device. Yeah.
No, you're too busy burning people's ships and stuff
Too busy burning ships. Oh.
To put helpful UI on your seeing stones.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, with all that said, I think that eventually Gandalf would have figured out what stone this was. Right?
Eventually, yeah.
But obviously it was Pippin's looking into the stone that clinched it. I mean, you got to wonder if Pippin had not seen anything, either because the alignment of the poles was off or he was on the wrong side of the ball.
Right.
You've got to wonder how long it would have taken Gandalf to figure out that this was actually a palantir.
That's a good point. I mean, I think you're right. Eventually he would have figured it out. But if nothing had happened here and Pippin maybe managed to get the stone back, and would Gandalf have known, and when would he have known? Next week, we're going to read that Gandalf was, of course, considering looking into the stone himself, which that actually would have caused even more problems than Pippin looking into it. So
Yeah,
as much as Pippin's decision to do this was a bad thing, it's what I'd call a good bad.
I think so.
Yeah.
Definitely spabimmy in more ways than one.
More ways than one.
Not only in the sense of what they learn from it, right?
Right,
Which
right.
we'll see more of in the next episode, but yeah, what it prevented.
Yeah.
Which is Gandalf looking in the stone, which would have been worse. So, yeah.
Much worse. So as we get into the aftermath, after the camp is astir, that's where I'm going to have you pick up.
So, this is the thief, said Gandalf. Hastily, he cast his cloak over the globe where it lay. But you, Pippin, this is a grievous turn to things. He knelt by Pippin's body. The hobbit was lying on his back, rigid, with unseeing eyes staring up at the sky. The devilry! What mischief has he done, to himself and to all of us? The wizard's face was drawn and haggard. He took Pippin's hand and bent over his face, listening for his breath. Then he laid his hands on his brow. The hobbit shuddered. His eyes closed. He cried out, and sat up, staring in bewilderment at all the faces round him, pale in the moonlight. "It is not for you, Saruman," he cried in a shrill and toneless voice, shrinking away from Gandalf. "I will send for it at once. Do you understand? Say just that." Then he struggled to get up and escape, but Gandalf held him gently and firmly. "Peregrine Took," he said, "come back." The hobbit relaxed and fell back, clinging to the wizard's hand. "Gandalf," he cried. "Gandalf, forgive me." "Forgive you," said the wizard. "Tell me first what you have done." I took the ball and looked at it," stammered Pippin. "And I saw things that frightened me. And I wanted to go away, but I couldn't. And then he came and questioned me, and he looked at me and that is all I remember."
Wow. What a traumatic experience, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, he's catatonic for a moment here.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
This is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And, Gandalf, of course, first thing he does is, not try to fix Pippin. He covers the globe with his cloak.
I mean, that is the most important thing right now.
It really
right?
is. He wants to prevent
Knowing
this from
now what
happening.
this thing is, let's make sure nobody's looking anymore.
Right. That's exactly right. But then his attention turns to Pippin fairly. And that's when, he's catatonic, as you said. He's staring up, but unseeing and lying stiff on his back.
Yeah. And Gandalf is very, very worried here.
Oh,
very
very.
clearly worried. And not so much with Pippin as with the impact of what he did, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Devilry. I love that he uses that word again. Remember, that means mischief or trickery.
Oh, great word.
But then he does work to heal Pippin.
Yeah.
He takes his hand, listens for breath. We do see, kind of the gentler side of Gandalf here.
Yeah.
Laying his hands on Pippin's brow.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful moment. And of course, at this last thing, the hands on his brow, the hobbit shudders, sits up, and cries out. And he's very confused, right? He doesn't seem to know where he is. This actually puts me in mind, just a little bit maybe, of Merry's dream after the experience in the barrow when he wakes up. "The men of Carn Dûm came on us at night, and we were worsted. Ah, the spear in my heart!" He clutched at his breast.
Oh, yeah.
No, he said, opening his eyes. "What am I saying? I've been dreaming." It's very much like that.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it's kind of like this trance where you're just like channeling these words. You don't know where they're coming from. And in both their cases, they're not entirely awake
right
when they're doing this.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And the way Pippin cries here is telling, because it is very clearly him just recollecting and repeating the words that Sauron told him to say, the words that he was directed to pass on to Saruman.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets through that and he tries to get up, but Gandalf actually holds him down and then calls for his return. Come back.
Come back. I love that moment. And that's when Pippin, our Pippin, is back. He clings to Gandalf's hand and he begs forgiveness, which you just immediately want to say, yes, of course. But Gandalf, forgive you? Tell me first what you've done. Right? What am I forgiving you for?
What did you do? Yeah.
Whatever do you mean forgiveness? Do you mean that you've done something I need to forgive you for? No, he just wants the information. Yeah.
I think that's it. It's not that he's going to make a decision whether to forgive him or not based on that information. He is going to forgive him, but first things first, I need to know what you've
got
done.
to know this information, right? And right away. Yeah.
And you got to feel for Pippin here.
You do.
I mean,
you really do.
He's stammering. He realizes how badly he's screwed up. He acknowledges that he took the ball and he looked at it. And in that voice that tells you that he knows he did something really, really foolish.
The stammering alone. I I took the ball and looked at it. You can,
Yeah.
he's afraid to even make eye contact with Gandalf at this point. Yeah.
I know I shouldn't have.
Yep.
But I did. And
Yep.
here's what happened. I saw things that frightened me.
Oh, boy, that's an understatement.
I couldn't get away. And then he came
Oh,
and questioned me and looked at me. And that's all I remember.
yeah. I can't get any more than that. Yeah.
Gandalf's not quite satisfied.
No,
with that,
he's
is he?
not. And that's actually where I'm going to pick up. That won't do, said Gandalf sternly. What did you see, and what did you say? Pippin shut his eyes and shivered, but said nothing. They all stared at him in silence, except Merry, who turned away. But Gandalf's face was still hard. Speak, he said. In a low, hesitating voice, Pippin began again, and slowly his words grew clearer and stronger. I saw a dark sky and tall battlements, he said, and tiny stars. It seemed very far away and long ago, yet hard and clear. Then the stars went in and out. They were cut off by things with wings. Very big, I think, really. But in the glass, they looked like bats wheeling round the tower. I thought there were 9 of them. One began to fly straight towards me, getting bigger and bigger. It had a horrible... No, I can't say. I tried to get away because I thought it would fly out, but when it had covered all the globe, it disappeared. Then he came. He did not speak so that I could hear words. He just looked, and I understood. So you have come back. Why have you neglected to report for so long? I did not answer. He said, Who are you? I still did not answer, but it hurt me horribly, and he pressed me, so I said, A hobbit. Then suddenly he seemed to see me, and he laughed at me. It was cruel. It was like being stabbed with knives. I struggled, but he said, Wait a moment. We shall meet again soon. Tell Saruman that this dainty is not for him. I will send for it at once. Do you understand? Say just that. Then he gloated over me. I felt I was falling to pieces. No, I can't say any more. I don't remember anything else. Wow. Man.
Poor Pippin.
Poor Pippin. Yeah, no matter how foolish he was to do this, you are just gutted by this experience that he's had to endure. Yeah.
Yeah. But Gandalf,
Oh, yeah.
Again, he needs more information.
He
first.
does, yeah.
That one, no, you can't stop at that's all I remember.
No.
What did you see and what did you say?
Those are 2 very important questions, yeah.
Yeah.
So Pippin closes his eyes and is silent. And, I don't think I've ever noticed this before, by the way, in all my readings, that while the others all stared at him, Merry can't.
Mm.
I think there's 2 things going on here. He's turning away from his friend's pain. Like, he just can't even watch his friend suffer like this. I think that's a big part of it. And I think there's a part of it, like, I knew you were going to do this, man. I told you not to.
He's sympathetic and disappointed.
And yeah, exactly. You can feel for him too. This is his closest friend, and he's just endured this terrible, terrible traumatic experience.
Yeah.
And there's a part of Merry, I'm sure, that just wants to go up and give him a hug and tell him it's going to be okay. And there's a part of him that wants to slap Pippin and be like, I told you so, you idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a good friend should do here.
Yeah.
That's exactly, Merry should do both of those things.
Yes, he should. You're right.
When he has a chance.
Yeah. Which he sadly won't have much of a chance, but yeah.
Yeah.
So Gandalf, of course, pushes harder, and he really insists, speak. I want to talk a little bit about the urgency that Gandalf has here. This is seriously time-sensitive material.
Very much so, yeah. Open immediately. Because he's now starting to suspect what this thing is.
Yeah, I think so.
And he doesn't know who has the other, the one on the other end.
That's right.
He doesn't know who Pippin has communicated with. He thinks it could be Sauron. Sauron is obviously the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Gandalf doesn't necessarily know that it's him, but he needs to know.
Yeah,
he needs details. And now Pippin gives him details.
Yeah.
He tells him what he saw. And at first it is hard. But then as he speaks, he kind of gets clearer and stronger, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
And I don't know if this is maybe something in kind of Gandalf's healing influence that he's done, or if he's just kind of more coming to consciousness a little bit more.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's some of Gandalf's influence, right? I mean, his ability is to kindle hearts, to give courage and to give that sort of, ability to endure. And I think maybe there's a little bit of that happening here. Yeah.
That very well could be.
So then he does say what he saw. He sees a dark sky and tall battlements, which, as we know, would be the battlements of Barad-dûr.
Yeah.
And the appearance of distance is interesting, right? He talks about the tiny stars that are very far away, but hard and clear. In a way, the way he sees this reminds me of Frodo's experience at the top of Amon Hen, right?
Good catch.
There we get this description. This is, of course, after the ring had caused him to see only shadows, but then he starts to see more. Here and there the mist gave way, and he saw many small visions, small and clear, as if they were under his eyes upon a table, and yet remote. It's a very similar mechanism in a way.
That is, yeah. That's a really good catch. I hadn't picked up on that.
Sort of like, almost like through a tilt-shift lens of some kind, like you can imagine the depth of field being really exaggerated, perhaps. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Well, and then we get the vision of the winged Nazgûl, right?
Right.
They're very big, although they actually look like bats in this vision. They look like bats wheeling around the tower.
Yeah, scale, right? I mean, the battlements in the tower are huge.
Are so huge that these huge Nazgûl look like just little bats.
Yeah.
And honestly, the only reason we know for sure that these are the Nazgûl, of course, is the fact that Pippin says there are 9 of them.
Yeah, that's a big clue, I think, to us as the reader. I mean, he doesn't describe them, of course, as the winged Nazgûl like we just said they are, but that's what they are. And the fact that there are 9 of them flying around Barad-dûr, that's what they are.
Yeah.
So one of them, terrifyingly so, flies straight towards Pippin's viewpoint. But this is an interesting question, right? One of the Nazgûl, as we know, because it's going to happen real soon here, is already on its way, very near to Isengard at this moment. In just a few minutes, as we'll see next week, it flies overhead. But Gandalf explains to Pippin that it couldn't have come for him at this time. He says it is 200 leagues or more in straight flight from Barad-dûr to Orthanc. And even a Nazgûl would take a few hours to fly between them. So it can't be the one that he just saw flying towards him, hours, remember? But he still thought there were 9. So either he was seeing something in the past when there were 9, or he miscounted 9, or Gandalf seriously underestimates the supersonic speed of the Nazgûl's winged steed. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I tend to think he's seeing something in the past.
I agree. That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, miscounting just seems to overcomplicate things.
It really does. Oh, there were 12 of them. No.
Right. Yeah. It's significant that there are 9 because that's what tells us they're the Nazgûl. If Pippin's miscounting that, I don't know. I just don't like what that does to some of our conclusions here.
I mean, I know he's not a reliable narrator, but I think he needs to be reliable in this case.
I agree. I think it must be something in the past.
I think we have a hint of that earlier too. When I was talking about the hard and clear and long ago or very far away, we get that line. It seemed very far away and long ago.
Yeah.
And it may not have been that long ago, but it could have been very much the past. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll see Gandalf say in the next episode that he wants to look into the past in the Palantir. So we know they have that power.
Oh, that's right. He wants to look into the very distant past, doesn't he? That's right. That's right. So yeah, I think that's it.
So we know it has that power.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, going back to Pippin's just heartbreaking report. I mean, he talks about how he wanted to get away.
Yeah.
But he couldn't. And then he came.
Oh.
And obviously the he is Sauron here. And he communicated with him, but not using actual words.
Yeah.
Pippin says he just looked and I understood.
That made me immediately, of course, think of Osanwe. Now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, though, I can't imagine Pippin's mind was open here to conversation with Sauron.
You can't imagine that it would be.
No.
I mean, this has to be Osanwe.
Yeah.
Later in this chapter, we do learn that these stones were used to converse in thought, which we're going to look at more closely next time.
Right.
But then how does that work? Because we are told in Osanwe Kenta that nothing can penetrate the barrier of unwill. Basically, if a recipient wants to keep somebody out of their mind, they can do that.
Yeah.
And even in Unfinished Tales, we read that the transference of thought depended on the wills of the user on either side. And thought, received as speech, was only transmittable by one stone to another in accord.
Okay. Now, there is a footnote, though, to that. And we read there that though this power was typically used by minds in consultation or for exchanging news required for governing, quote, it was only Sauron who used a stone for the transference of his superior will, dominating the weaker surveyor and forcing him to reveal hidden thought and to submit to commands. Oh.
And that is very interesting. However, I think we have another case here of Tolkien being of two minds, or making an amendment to something he said previously. Because in Osanwe Kenta, we read that extortion of the secrets of a mind may seem to come from reading it by force in despite of its unwill, for the knowledge gained may at times appear to be as complete as any that could be obtained. Nonetheless, it does not come from penetration of the barrier of unwill, a thing impossible to be or to be done.
Oh, wow. Impossible. Okay.
Impossible. And then he goes on to describe how Melkor used to come by stealth to a mind open and unwary, hoping to learn some part of its thought before it closed, and still more to implant in it his own thought to deceive it and win it to his friendship, kind of sneaking in.
Well, clearly Sauron isn't trying to win Pippin to his friendship.
That is a very good point. But I do think that he may have learned some tricks from his old boss and actually figured out a way to get into Pippin's mind before he closed it.
Wow, that's interesting.
So I don't know. I mean, we've got two different competing theories here, both from Tolkien. Either Sauron overpowered him, or he sneaks in and gets what he can before Pippin shuts him out. What do you think?
It's hard for me to argue against the Osanwe Kenta essay if it says literally that it does not come from penetration of the barrier of unwill, a thing impossible to be or to be done. I don't want to say that it is that, because, I mean, here it is. The text makes it real clear that can't be done.
He does kind of specifically say it may look like that, but it's not that.
But then we get that footnote in Unfinished Tales that says that he used the stone for the transference of his superior will.
Yeah.
Dominating the weaker surveyor. Now, in this case, that may be referring to Denethor and or Saruman, and forcing him to reveal hidden thought and to submit to commands. Forcing him to reveal hidden thought. But then we get, it might look like they're forcing him to reveal hidden thought, but that doesn't come from penetration of the barrier of unwill.
And maybe that's it.
The problem is it doesn't say what it does come from.
Right. And maybe what it is that they can't penetrate the barrier of unwill, but they can sneak past it. And once they're in, they can force you to reveal hidden thought. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's both.
Yeah, maybe slipping in before Pippin can close his mind, using the visual lure of the lights and the kind of that sensation of, oh, I want to go look at this stone, sort of the temptation and desire.
Yeah.
And once he gets in, he can't stop.
And then once he's in there, then he can intimidate and he can threaten to get what he wants, and that is using his superior will. That maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, once he's there, he's dominating the weaker surveyor and forcing him to respond.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he can't break through the wall. If the wall is up, he cannot break through it. That is impossible.
Pippin just may not have even known how to put up a wall.
Right.
I mean, don't we read someplace in Osanwe Kenta that the default status is to not have that wall up?
Yes.
And it could be that Pippin simply doesn't understand how to do that.
Yeah. Sauron just gets in too quickly.
Yeah.
And like you said, once he's there, Sauron dominates him.
Like a salesman who puts his foot in the door, and then the next thing you know, he's dumping dirt all over your floor and telling you he's got to sell you a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that this conclusion that we're coming to together on this, I think that also helps us understand how Pippin is able to finally shut him out. Because Pippin, though he is completely dominated here, at a certain point, he must shut Sauron out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or is Sauron just done with him? I don't know. Does Sauron hang up or does Pippin?
Which one of them hangs up? That's a good question. I like that. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to take a quick look at the text.
Well, let's see. I'm looking at it right now. We get, it is not for you, Saruman. Do you understand? Say just that. And then when he repeats himself and talks about it, pressed me, I said, a hobbit. Then he laughed. Then he gloated over me. I felt I was falling to pieces. And then I can't say anymore. I don't remember anything else. So it sounds to me like maybe Sauron hung up.
Yeah, it could be.
Whoa, ha, 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 ha. Click.
Click.
I mean, what a jerk, man.
Excuse me, is your refrigerating running? Yeah. Oh. That's interesting. That is very interesting.
Operator, we've got a collect call from Isengard for one
fast busy
Lord S. Auron. Fine, I accept the charges.
I normally only accept the charges if you call me King Excellent.
Tarmyron's okay too.
Yeah.
All right.
This is fascinating. So yeah, it must be that Pippin lets him in, and then once he's there, he's able to dominate and intimidate and get what he needs that way. That's got to be that's the only way to reconcile those two things.
It's the only way to fit those two otherwise contrary passages together. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, going back to this text.
Yeah.
Then we get Pippin relating what they actually talked about. Right. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's obvious that Sauron at first thinks he's communicating with Saruman.
Right. And Saruman apparently hasn't called in some time. What's kept you, man?
You never call anymore. You never write anymore.
I don't understand. We're family. Why don't you call? Yeah, no. So once Sauron realizes it's not Saruman, he asks, who are you? and begins to push really hard.
And Pippin can't not answer, can he?
Yeah.
He simply says, a hobbit. And then we get this absolutely unbearable laughter from Sauron.
Oh, I know. Like being stabbed with knives.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Cruel laughter and strict instructions.
Oh, yeah.
Tell Saruman that this dainty is not for him. I will send for it at once. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Say exactly that.
Very important. Very important.
Yeah. Talking to him like he doesn't speak English. Or Westron or Ancient Myron or whatever he's, like, do you understand?
He's like saying it really loud.
Right. And really slowly.
Pippin, though, I noticed he skips those internal quotation marks that would have been part of the instructions, right? It would have been, tell Saruman, quote, this dainty is not for him. I will send for it at once, end quote. Do you understand? Say just that.
Right.
But all Pippin seems capable of at this point is just parroting the entire conversation and not distinguishing between Sauron giving him the words to say to Saruman and the question that Sauron had about Pippin's understanding. I thought that was really interesting.
It's like when I tell my son, say goodnight, Lucian, and he says, goodnight, Lucian.
Good night, Lucian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
That is interesting. I don't know. Is it because Sauron's just hit him with so much power that he just can't really think for a minute here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
yeah.
Usually Tolkien does a really good job of people quoting people within quotes.
That's true.
Right? I mean, just read the Council of
true.
Elrond for more quotes within quotes within quotes within quotes. But yeah.
Yeah. Eerie recollection of people's exact words that they've said.
Very exact, yeah.
And then Pippin recalls the gloating. Oh. And this is the point at which he can't say more. It's just
doesn't remember anything more.
He doesn't remember, or it's just too much for him.
Mm-hmm. Question, when Sauron refers to this dainty, is he referring to the ring or to Pippin? Good question. But we're going to get to that in the mailbag, so hold on. We will get to that in just a little bit, actually.
Indeed.
But before we do, you're going to read the last part of this half of the chapter, and this is sort of the diagnosis. So take it away, sir.
Dr. Gandalf.
Dr. Gandalf.
Look at me, said Gandalf. Pippin looked up straight into his eyes. The wizard held his gaze for a moment in silence. Then his face grew gentler, and the shadow of a smile appeared. He laid his hand softly on Pippin's head. All right, he said. Say no more. You have taken no harm. There is no lie in your eyes, as I feared. But he did not speak long with you. A fool, but an honest fool you remain, Peregrine Took. Wiser ones might have done worse in such a pass. But mark this. You have been saved, and all your friends, too, mainly by good fortune, as it is called. You cannot count on it a second time. If he had questioned you then and there, almost certainly you would have told all that you know, to the ruin of us all. But he was too eager. He did not want information only. He wanted you, quickly, so that he could deal with you in the Dark Tower, slowly. Don't shudder. If you will meddle in the affairs of wizards, you must be prepared to think of such things. But come, I forgive you. Be comforted. Things have not turned out as evilly as they might. He lifted Pippin gently and carried him back to his bed. Merry followed and sat down beside him. Lie there and rest if you can, Pippin, said Gandalf. Trust me. If you feel an itch in your palms again, tell me of it. Such things can be cured.
Yeah, a little hydrocortisone will take care of that itch right away. So.
And whatever you do, don't scratch it.
No, that'll always make it worse.
Yep. So yeah, Gandalf is now setting to work trying to determine just how accurate Pippin's debriefing was, right?
Right.
Looks at Pippin intensely. He holds his gaze for a bit. And then he obviously likes what he sees because his face grows gentle. And we see this little shadow of a smile show up as he touches Pippin's head. This is probably the most tender that Gandalf has ever been to Pippin.
Yeah, or ever will be.
Or ever will be.
And the relief is palpable for Gandalf and for us as the reader, really, in that moment.
Yeah.
And I love that. You're a fool, but you're an honest fool. And, that's when we see that Gandalf 2.0 also has built-in polygraph abilities.
Yeah.
There is no lie
very handy.
in your eyes. It's a very useful thing to have that. Yeah.
Yeah. But then he goes on to explain just how close this was. It's fortunate that Sauron didn't speak with you very long. The danger would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
And he says something very interesting. He says other ones might not have done as well. Specifically, wiser ones. Might not have done as well. Now, is that because wiser ones would specifically be in more danger here? Like, is Pippin's foolishness and lack of wisdom actually a shield for him here in some sense? Or is it just...
In a way, I think it serves a purpose. Yeah. I mean, I think, as we'll see when we talk about why Sauron said what he did to him, the fact that he is, quote unquote, just a hobbit is a big help to him. It does protect him from immediate harm. If Gandalf had used it first, he's a wiser one.
Sauron would have tried to get a lot more. That's true.
And the wiser ones that Gandalf's referring to here would also be in possession of even more knowledge.
That's true.
Pippin knows a lot. He already knows that Frodo and Sam have gone off on their own, and he knows a lot of things. But he doesn't know everything.
No, and Sauron underestimates him, obviously.
Oh, totally underestimates him.
Oh, you're just one of those dumb hobbits. Okay, just stay there. Here, tell Saruman this.
Yes, give Saruman a message. Right?
Do you understand? I don't even know if you speak Westron.
Right.
I don't even know if you have enough sentience to communicate this to Saruman. But
wow, that's a good point.
I'm going to try.
Yeah, because all he said to him is a hobbit. It's the only words that Pippin got out.
Right. No, I like that. I can buy that answer.
Yeah.
And Gandalf also notes that it was just good fortune, or spabimmy, as we might say, that saved Pippin and everybody else.
And I love this. He also says, don't do this again because you can't count on that again. And I don't know about you. You cannot count on it a second time immediately calls to mind the very definition of a eucatastrophe, a sudden and miraculous grace never to be counted on to recur.
That is exactly what I thought of.
It's a mini eucatastrophe right here.
Definitely. Yeah, it is a good thing that Sauron didn't push for more because you would have been unable to resist him.
Resistance is futile. Yeah.
Nicely done.
Got to get that in there. Yeah.
And then we get this line about Sauron wanting Pippin quickly so he could deal with him slowly.
Oh, isn't that a line?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That is a great line. And Pippin reacts to it. I mean, we don't see in the narrative Pippin's reaction. We just see Gandalf's words, don't shudder.
Yeah.
Which means that he's shuddering when he hears that.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And I noticed something really interesting. I noticed that Gandalf says, if you will meddle in the affairs of wizards, you have to be prepared for these kinds of things. He's calling back to Merry and Pippin's conversation just a few pages ago.
Oh my goodness, was he listening in? He was dropping some eaves, wasn't he?
He must have been dropping eaves because he wasn't there when Gildor said it in book 1.
No.
Of course, Merry wasn't either, but still... Gandalf must have heard them talking about this.
He must have. Yeah.
Which means that he's probably been aware of a lot more of this than we realize, although he must have actually been asleep when Pippin took the Palantir from him.
Oh, yeah. He would never have allowed him to just walk away with it. No, you're right. But then he does what we hoped he would do. He forgives him. Of course, he forgives Pippin and tells him to be comforted. It could have been a lot worse. And I love this moment. He lifts him and carries him back to his bed. He doesn't say, okay, go back to bed now. He picks him up and carries him there. And Merry follows, and then, of course, Gandalf says, look, it's time for you to rest.
Yeah. And he says, look, if you're tempted to do that again, just tell me. I can help you.
Yeah, I can tie you to the nearest tree.
But don't you dare pull a stunt like that again.
No. Don't you do it. No.
And then he leaves Pippin and Merry together for a while.
Yeah.
The two friends together again.
I love that. Well, folks, if you meddle in the affairs of a barkeep, you must be prepared to handle the mail. But even after Bartleman delivers it, the talk still continues all night long at the Prancing Pony.
That's right. Our fantastic listener community keeps the conversation going in all of our social media spaces. At our common room on Facebook, you'll find comments, questions, corrections, and more on every episode, as well as updates from us throughout the week. Just look for the Prancing Pony Podcast on Facebook.
Now, be sure to follow the page and join the group. The page is a great way for us to keep you up to date on the latest happenings. But the group gives you a chance to discuss Tolkien and the show with your fellow listeners.
And of course, we also have some really good discussions going on over on Reddit.
Oh, yeah.
You can find us there at r/PrancingPonyPod. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, both with the handle at PrancingPonyPod. And if you are enjoying the show, please share us with your friends, and please consider giving us a review on Apple Podcasts.
We would appreciate it. Now, folks, our 5th season, wraps up next week, which is still stunning to me. But if you're paying attention to the episode numbers, a little math tells you that episode 222 is not far away at all.
As a matter of fact, it's going to be just our 2nd episode in next season.
Yeah.
And you might remember the fun we had with our 111st episode, going over the highlights of our first 110. Well, we haven't exactly figured out what to call our 222nd episode, but it will also be a highlight show, and it will also feature selections chosen by you.
So be thinking of your favorite moments from episode 112 through the end of this season and send them in to Barliman, please be sure to include an episode number, a starting timestamp, and a brief note describing the segment.
That brief note is really important because our digital ads vary in quantity and length.
Yeah.
And so if you just send us a timestamp, there's no way we're going to find the exact moment you're looking for.
No.
So help us out. And if we use your selected clip on the show, we'll give you a shout out. And thank you in advance for helping us celebrate our 22D2. No, let's never say that again.
I'm not going to fly with that one, no.
No, let's not do that again. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, I forgive you. I forgive you. Now, be comforted. It could have been worse.
I'm not sure it could.
Oh, I'm sure we could find a way. Folks, if you want exclusive content like postscripts to the episodes, full bonus episodes, live Discord events with me and Sean, and of course, episodes without the digital ads, then please check out patreon.com/prancingponypod, where you can support the show by joining the Fellowship of the Podcast. Now, let's see what messages Barliman has brought us tonight. Sean.
All right. Well, first up, friend of the show, Jeff LaSala in New York asked, when Pippin makes contact with Sauron through the Palantir, Sauron says, tell Saruman this dainty is not for him. That word choice is so odd. Dainty? Is that referring to the ring or to Pippin himself, as the halfling he thinks has his ring? It also is, I think, the closest thing we get to proper dialogue from Sauron, which makes it so much more momentous. Granted, it's quoted by Pippin, who says he's the best relayer of information. Solid point, Jeff.
Yeah.
Alan, what say you?
Well, let's take a look at the evidence that we can gather for why this might be the ring or why it might be Pippin. On the ring side, we do have a few things that could lend support to the conclusion. Well, first, we know that is what Sauron wants above all things. The ring is completely his obsession. So there's that. Second, he says, I will send for it at once, not send for him at once. And finally, in relation to Pippin. And finally, you might remember the way the messenger of Sauron was reported to have spoken to the dwarves about the ring back at the Council of Elrond. That messenger says, as a small token only of your friendship, Sauron asks this, he said, that you should find this thief, such was his word, and get from him, willing or no, a little ring, the least of rings that once he stole. It is but a trifle that Sauron fancies. Now, here's the thing. Each of these is ambiguous, right? I mean, so what if Sauron's obsessed with the ring? That is not proof that dainty here means the ring. And the it versus him thing, Sauron is not exactly known for treating his prisoners with any sense of decency, so that distinction's pretty meh.
Referring to a hobbit as it seems pretty on brand for Sauron.
Pretty on brand, yeah. Good point. And finally, trifle just means a thing with little no value, but a dainty means something entirely different. As a noun, it means a tasty morsel, a delicacy, treat, appetizer, etc. It refers to food. So, Sean, do you have any word nerdery on dainty to help us out a little bit more?
I do, yeah. And I'm glad that you picked up on the noun versus adjective use here.
Yeah.
Because although dainty is usually more of an adjective these days, its usage as a noun actually predates the adjective use in English by about 150 years. Thank you, Oxford English Dictionary, for that.
That's probably why I use it as a noun. Because I predate a lot of our listeners by 150 years.
You said it, sir, not me.
All right, fair.
So to refer to something as a dainty as a noun, rather than as being dainty as an adjective, is the original usage. Interestingly enough, it did not always mean something tasty, though.
Oh, interesting.
Its first food-related usage was in around 1300 in Middle English, though it first appeared in English 50 years later in, wait for it, An Craina Riúil.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious.
No way.
Folks may remember that's that medieval monastic manual that Tolkien worked on extensively in his scholarly work. And that is the first place we see the word dainty in English.
Wow.
Now, at that time, it had the meaning of honor, favor, or esteem. And it actually came into English from Latin dignitatem, which means worthiness or dignity, via French daintier, where it meant pleasure.
Interesting.
Now, around 1340, it acquired a meaning of something that's a luxury, a rarity, or something fine, which I think is very interesting because that kind of puts it in the same ballpark as the word precious.
Ooh.
And precious and dainty are listed as near synonyms in pretty much all the online thesauri I checked.
Did you just say thesauri?
I did.
That, man, you are such a nerd.
Word nerd. What am I going to do? Sorry.
All right.
But I'm like you, Alan. I don't want to get too comfortable that this means the ring, even if there's a similarity between precious and dainty. I think we need to bring some other information to the table here, and that is something that we did discuss already in this episode. A little bit later in the chapter, Gandalf points out to Pippin that Sauron didn't press him for more information. He wanted you quickly so that he could deal with you in the Dark Tower slowly.
Right.
Sauron wants Pippin. As soon as he knows that there's a hobbit, he wants the hobbit.
Yeah.
You combine that with the meaning of dainty, and I think it's pretty strongly suggested that the dainty Sauron is referring to is Pippin himself.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But I'm actually going to give Sauron even more credit than that. I think, yeah, the dainty is Pippin, but I think it's entirely possible that Sauron is being ambiguous here on purpose. I mean, he knows that Saruman wants the ring, and there are really only 3 possibilities here that Sauron is considering, that he can consider. Pippin does not have the ring. That's option number 1, in which case Sauron wants to interrogate him and to prevent Saruman from doing the same. Or Pippin does have the ring, and Saruman doesn't know it yet. In that case, he wants Pippin and the ring in his possession as quickly as possible before Saruman discovers that Pippin has the ring. The third scenario is the worst one for Sauron, where Pippin has the ring and Saruman already knows that. Now, in that case, the only thing Sauron can try to do is scare Saruman and come at him quickly before he learns how to wield the ring. So this ambiguous use of the word dainty ends up with a changed meaning based on what Saruman knows.
To Saruman, right? Yeah. What Saruman thinks he means will change based on what Saruman knows. Interesting.
Right. So if it's either of those first 2 scenarios, okay, Pippin doesn't have the ring, or he has the ring but Saruman doesn't know it, then Saruman will think the dainty refers to Pippin. But if it is the last scenario, where Pippin has the ring and Saruman knows it, then Saruman could assume that dainty means the ring, and the rest of the statement is intended as a threat.
Wow.
I think this is ambiguity on purpose.
I like that. I really like that explanation, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if Sauron uses a precise noun, either the ring or the hobbit, he kind of limits his options while also giving Saruman information that he may not already have.
Right. I mean, if he says, tell him the ring is not for him, Saruman's like, what, the ring? Oh, you have the ring?
Right.
Yeah.
Or if he says specifically, send the hobbit to me,
then Saruman can keep the ring.
If Saruman knows about the ring, he's like, okay, I'll keep the ring. Here, you can have the hobbit.
Yeah.
You know, the ambiguity absolutely works in Sauron's favor here.
It sure does.
Wow, that's really interesting. I like that.
Yeah. No way to tell, but I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. I also think it's interesting that they're communicating with thought, but
yes,
Sauron tells Pippin exactly what words to say.
That's a good point. Yeah. Well, you know, I think he knows that Pippin can't communicate by thought with Saruman. He has to actually use words to do it. Yeah.
True. And I'd be inclined to think that dainty was just a Hobbit translation of some sort of nonverbal message that Sauron was trying to convey.
That's true. I mean, we may be getting semantic over things that weren't even semantic because it was thoughts, but yeah.
Possibly, but I think the text actually suggests otherwise. I mean, Sauron is actually giving dictation here.
You're right, he is. Do you understand?
Right, yeah. So he must be communicating with him in words.
Yeah.
In thought, but in words in thought.
That's a good point.
So, yeah, I do think that dainty is probably the word Sauron is using. I don't think it is just a Pippin translation.
And while we think it refers to Pippin, the ambiguity is something that serves him well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I like that question. Thank you, Jeff. And really good discussion on that one.
Good.
Alan, do you think we have time for one more?
I think we can squeeze one more in. Tevilder, better known as Arthur H., asks, I listened with interest as you mentioned Aragorn healing Gimli being a prelude to the hands of the king or the hands of a healer. I flash forward to the houses of healing where he's having difficulty healing Faramir and Éowyn and says, would that Elrond were here, for he is the eldest of all our race and has the greater power. Now, it has always been a given that the hands of the king are the hands of a healer, and thus shall the true king be known, means he knows how to use a Band-Aid, hail the king. That I can hear Arthur saying that now, actually.
I could totally hear Arthur saying that.
But Aragorn's comment suggests that healing is not a factor of being the true king. It is a factor of being the same race as Elrond. Does this lead us to conclude that anyone related to Elrond are healers? Is this related to being descended from Melian? And perhaps more importantly, does this imply that Halbarad, Aragorn's relative, would also be a healer? In that case, how could you tell which of any number of people is the true king? Sean?
Wow. I got to say, I think Arthur gets the right answer here when he mentions being descended from Melian being a factor here. When Aragorn refers to Elrond as the eldest of all our race, he's clearly not saying he's the oldest elf. That's not what he means by race, because we know Círdan, for example, is significantly older than Elrond, not to mention Galadriel and others. In this case, race has to mean the descendants of Luthien, who we know were very unique because they are the only children of Eru who have, in part, a genetic makeup that traces this line back to Melian. and has
Right.
this Maya blood in it.
Right.
Elrond has the greater power as the one who is least removed from that pairing of Beren and Luthien in a genetic sense.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, folks, you might remember our discussion about Elrond half-elven. He's not actually half-elven. He's 9/16 elven.
Oh, come on. It's pretty close.
It is pretty close. And frankly, Elrond, a little more than half-elven, doesn't flow as nicely. So,
No.
Yeah, he's 9/16 elven, 6/16 man, and 1/16 Maiar. Now, Aragorn has a lot less Maiar blood than 1/16. And no, we didn't do the math.
60-something generations down.
A
Yeah.
lot less. But it is quite possible that any, or maybe even all, of the descendants of Melian have some innate healing abilities. Now, they're not the only ones exclusively with healing abilities, as we've seen. Glorfindel healing Frodo's wound from the Morgul Blade, for instance.
Mm-hmm. And so do the Sons of Elrond.
Yeah.
In 3 seasons, I think, we're going to read that at the doors of the houses, many were already gathered to see Aragorn.
Yeah.
And they followed after him. And when at last he had supped, men came and prayed that he would heal their kinsmen or their friends whose lives were in peril through hurt or wound, or who lay under the black shadow. And Aragorn arose and went out, and he sent for the Sons of Elrond, and together they labored far into the night.
So all 3 of them were healing.
All
people.
3 of them were healing.
That's a great catch. And of course, they are descended from Elrond, so they have healing power as well.
Right.
So the answer to part of Arthur's question is yes. Some people, perhaps all, but no textual evidence to conclude that, descended from Melian have healing abilities. But I don't think that is incompatible with this idea of the hands of the king or the hands of a healer. That line just means that if you are a king, then you are also a healer. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all those with hands of a healer are also kings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares.
Right.
All kings have the hands of a healer, but not all healers are kings.
Right. Exactly.
So it's just to rule out a non-healer as a monarch, really. That's what that prophecy would seem to indicate.
It's like if Denethor decided he was going to take the kingship.
Yeah. Usurp the throne and say, I'm king
basically
now.
say, you know what? I've been doing this long enough. I'm just going to go ahead and call myself king now.
Right.
But wait, no, you're not a healer, so you can't
be.
this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the true king would be able to prove his lineage. I mean, sure, he'd have the healing hands just like the other descendants of Melian.
Right.
But he'd be able to prove his lineage. And in this case, Aragorn would be able to do that with the Ring of Barahir and Narsil Reforged.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think this line really is a callback to the idea of the royal touch.
Oh, yeah.
This is the real world tradition of both French and English monarchs supposedly being able to lay hands on their subjects to be able to heal them.
That's right.
I think we'll probably touch on this, which is a very interesting historical tradition. We'll probably touch on that a little bit when we get to the hands of a healer bit in a few years.
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to that. But for now, folks, that does wrap it up for another episode of the Prancing Pony podcast. But please be sure to join us again next week when Gandalf sings a little ditty.
That's the one where he counts stars and rocks, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Now, folks, as always, we want to take a moment to thank some truly important people. That's our patrons at the Kierdance contribution tier. I'm going to start the list with Demay in Alaska, James in Virginia, Tamsin in Minnesota, Chad in Texas, Lance in New Jersey, Paul in Colorado, Jerry in Texas, Bruce in California, Mario in Utah, Seth in Texas, B in California, Joseph in Texas, Kathy from North Carolina, Lori from Washington, and Josh in Oklahoma.
And then we have Carlos in California, Brian from the UK, Cameron in Nevada, Ned from Connecticut, Jerry from Washington, Nick from Wisconsin, Ryan from Alaska, Paul from Buckland, Joe in Washington, Ryan in Illinois, Erwin from the Netherlands, and Lucas in Germany. Thank you all so much for your support. Now, we also want to thank the team that helps make the show better. That includes our research assistants and our barleman, Becca Davis, producer Jordan Rennells, social media manager Casey Hilsey, event and Patreon community coordinator Katie McKenna, and website guru Phil Dean.
That's right. This show would not be what it is without our supporters and our teammates, so thank you all so much for being a part of it. Now, be sure you don't miss any episodes of the Prancing Pony podcast. Subscribe to the show through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
And one last thing, as always, don't forget to send your thoughts, comments, and most of all, your dainties. Oh, no, wait, we'll send for them at once. To Bartleman at the prancingponypodcast.com.
Oh, nicely done. I like that one.
Oh, man. They're getting more and more challenging, right? I mean, it's...
Yeah, we've been doing this for 219 episodes now,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's one of the bits we've been doing since the very beginning.
That's true.
And Barlaman is a lot more reliable these days, thanks to Becca, but we get a lot of mail, so we'll get to you as soon as we can, and your question or comment may be featured on a future episode.
Now, as always, this has been far too short a time to spend among such excellent and admirable listeners. But until next time.
Farewell, friends.